Socrates asked questions until you doubt what you think you know. Plato answered with a world you cannot see. Across a single lifetime, they shaped two ways of seeking truth. One patient in questions, one confident in ideas. Today we dive into 5 key The first difference is method. Socrates moves through conversation like a stonecutter, slowly revealing flaws by asking for reasons. He disarms certainty by turning statements into questions, until stubborn confidence cracks open and light leaks in. Plato, by contrast, builds a scaffold. He writes as if you could step outside the street and glimpse a blueprint, the perfect form behind every imperfect thing. Socrates tests what we call knowledge. Plato supplies a map of what knowledge could be. The second difference is what counts as real. For Socrates, to know is to understand the good by living it in dialogue, to sift through ideas with humility and courage. The true is often found in moral clarity, in the moment of choosing rightly. Plato, however, invites you to cross over into a realm of eternal forms, where the chair you see is only a shadow of the perfect chair in a timeless heaven. The empirical world is a reminder, not the ruler. The idea is the standard, not the sample. The third difference is epistemology, the theory of knowing. Socrates treats knowledge as a practical achievement, a stance you arrive at through careful questioning, discernment, and virtue. He trusts the mind that asks the right questions more than the mind that already owns the right answers. Plato argues that knowledge is recollection, a remembering of what the soul grasped before it woke up in a body. He suggests philosophy is a return journey, a lifting of the veil to reveal what the senses only hint at. In one, truth emerges in dialogue. In the other, truth is found in assent. The fourth difference touches on how to live among others. Socrates lives inside a city of debate, where the aim is not victory, but illumination. He challenges the powerful and the ordinary alike, insisting that the mind must govern the state as much as the sword. Plato dreams of a city that embodies the forms of polity led by wise guardians, where philosophy is not a luxury, but the city's breath. Socrates asks citizens to reason. Plato imagines citizens trained to reason until reason becomes virtue itself. The fifth difference is pedagogy, the art of teaching. Socrates teaches by drawing out from you what you already know, like a midwife helps bring forth a child that was always present, but needed help to become. He refuses to transfer certainty. He sparks it into life by interrogation. Plato teaches by construction, supplying a framework that students inhabit and then critique. His academy is a workshop for ideas, where theories are tested against questions, consequences, and time. Socrates invites you to find your own way through dialogue. Plato invites you to walk along a designed path toward a shared horizon. Now a twist. Some readers treat Socrates and Plato as rival engines. One that grinds doubts into dust, the other that polishes ideals until they gleam. But the deeper pattern shows a collaboration across a long arc. Socrates is the radical listener, the philosopher who refuses to claim certainty. Plato is the radical architect, the philosopher who refuses to settle for partial visions. Together, they form a discipline that neither begins nor ends with one voice. They remind us that truth can be both probed and imagined, can be argued into existence and sketched into form. Consider a modern life. You face decisions at work, in love, with your health, about what you trust in the digital age. Socrates would ask, what is the good you are aiming for? What assumptions hide behind your confidence? Plato would reply, here is a structure that could sustain your choices if you inhabit it long enough. The synthesis is useful. We need the stubborn, careful questions that guard against easy certainty and the generous, organizing pictures that guide complex action. Neither is enough alone. Both together offer a disciplined courage. What about the fear that these two older thinkers are fossils, out of touch with a messy century? The answer is simple and unsettling. Their differences are not quaint quirks, but tools. They map human possibility in two dimensions: depth and structure, inquiry and ideal. If you treat them as enemies, you miss the point. If you treat them as a single tradition, you miss their tension. Their disagreement is not a failure of philosophy. It is its most fertile engine. The real takeaway is not which philosopher wins, but how their disagreement refines your own stance. Socrates invites you to stand within the storm of questions, to test your beliefs against your own reasons and your neighbor's reasons. Plato invites you to imagine a horizon so clear that your choices align with something larger than yourself. The best interpretation is not a choice between the two. It is a practice that blends humility with vision. Ask, then imagine, then test, then refine. Let questioning be the wind. Let ideals be the compass. In that sense, Socrates and Plato are not opponents, but partners in a lifelong inquiry. If you see them this way, their 5 differences become 5 habits. Question first, seek reality beyond the scene. Know by recollection or by disciplined reasoning. Live with others through a citizen-esque duty, and teach by guiding others to build their own paths. Each habit makes a life that is less about certainty and more about becoming. Ultra. So the next time you encounter a stubborn belief, hear a whisper from an ancient corridor. Doubt in the right way can free the mind, and vision in the right direction can steady the will. Socrates reminds us that the question is the goal. Plato reminds us that the answer can be a doorway. And you, walking between those doors, decide how to live with both doubt and design. The dialogue continues inside you. Every time you choose what to believe and how to act, let us carry the bridge between questions and forms into everyday life, where theory meets consequence and habit becomes part of who you are. First, in decision-making. The question isn't only what to do, but what good you're aiming for and why it matters to the people who will live with the choice. Socrates would press you to name the aim with sharp humility. Is our goal protection, justice, flourishing, or something more elusive like integrity under pressure? Plato would push you to sketch the structure that could sustain that aim, a guideline so clear that it can weather doubt and disruption. The practical blend is to diagnose the goal with questions, then hold it up to a larger map of what a well-lived life would require. In mentorship and education, the difference becomes a method you can actually use. Socrates teaches by turning learners into co-questioners, by making certainty tremble until it dissolves into understanding. Plato, by contrast, offers a scaffold that future generations can climb, a framework that invites critique from within. In your own teaching, you can invite critique while offering a sturdy horizon. Teach people to argue well, yes, but also to inhabit a disciplined vision they can test against reality. The danger is settling for clever questions or glamorous theories. The opportunity is cultivating both sharper questions and sturdier ideals. Imagine a team facing a risky project. Socratic practice would urge every member to disclose what they think the project truly aims to improve and what costs are acceptable. Plato-esque planning within draft guardrails, milestones, and ethical principles that persist when pressure mounts. The result isn't a sterile blueprint, but a living conversation between honesty and inquiry and imagination and design. Pedagogy, finally, becomes a mirror of character. Socrates asks students to own their reason, to defend it, to revise it in light of others' reasons. Plato invites them to inhabit a shared vision, to test ideas against a common standard, and to refine both step by step. The education you champion becomes not a memory of answers, but a habit of shaping questions. Now comes the twist of modern life. The digital age tempts us to treat truth as a fast answer and to treat certainty as a badge. Socrates warns against that shortcut truth without vigilance is easily hollow. Plato warns against surrendering to cynicism, treating reality as merely instrumental and suggesting We can dodge responsibility by chasing clever abstractions. The healthy mind holds both: a stubborn readiness to question and a patient fidelity to an intelligible plan. The synthesis is a practice you can adopt. Start with a clear aim and a transparent map. Test both against the real world. Invite critique. Revise. When you speak, let your questions open doors. When you act, let your structure keep doors open for others. This is not a compromise, but a discipline that honors doubt while pursuing form. The 5 differences were never a tug of war. They're a repertoire you can draw from. Question first. Seek reality with a generous imagination. Know by disciplined recollection of what matters. Live with a civic ethic that binds mind and action. And teach by guiding others to build their own paths within a shared horizon. In that blended practice, Socrates and Plato stop being portraits from history and become a living method for thinking, deciding, and growing. So when you wake to a hard choice, remember, you do not have to choose between doubt and design. You can carry both like 2 hands shaping the same clay. Let the questions sharpen your aim, and let the horizons keep your ambitions humane. The dialogue continues inside